The only known Nintendo PlayStation is up for auction right now. This is the one and only known prototype that was produced. That was the original before Sony and Nintendo split, and it became the Super Nintendo, the Super Famicom, and the Sony PlayStation. It is currently up for auction. And right now, the current bid...
$50,000.
That's up $2,000 since I drove from my house to here. It's $500 increments, and there is a relatively lofty buyer's percentage or seller's percentage on top of that. Buyer's premium, sorry. So it's actually $60,000 with the buyer's premium currently. And it's on, I think, for the next week.
That thing looks like dog shit too.
Oh no, the next minimum bid is $52,500.
Yeah, so it's going up.
So it's up down
$2,500
increments.
Still 21 days left. So if you guys want to go ahead and buy the only known PlayStation Super NES CD-ROM prototype,
then you can,
from Sony and Nintendo Company in 1992, go ahead, put in that bid of the low price of $63,000.
I mean, it's the only one. Somebody who's really into gaming, this should be in a museum, first of all.
It should straight up be in a museum.
I don't know why it isn't, and hopefully whoever buys it eventually puts it,
because of money.
But man, that should be in a
The only real gaming museums are the ones in people's basements.
Pretty much. There is an actual
video.
museum.
Yeah.
But and this should be
in it, but it's not.
But it's not going to be.
I'm pretty sure that museum gets like stuff donated to them and shit.
It does.
I remember.
It's
I remember
donated,
seeing. I remember watching a documentary on it and shit. But there are honestly like some video game collectors that have way more intriguing collections than any museum in the world. Like some people have just the craziest shit ever. This is wild, dude.
I'll just read this top little piece here to get an idea. So, the Nintendo PlayStation Super NES CD-ROM prototype from 1992. At one point, this dual-branded prototype's existence was mere myth, and this is the very first time it will ever be offered at public auction. It is said to be the last remaining prototype of the alleged 200 that were forged from the failed joint venture between Sony and Nintendo, two of the biggest competitors in the home console video game market. Reportedly, the other prototypes have since been destroyed. We at Heritage can attest the prototype is working, as we've played a couple of rounds of Mortal Kombat on it using a Super Famicom cartridge.
Oh shit, so you can actually play the fucking thing too. Oh
not that I would probably want to.
I would not stick anything in that fucking slot.
No. I'd stick one game in to protect the connectors.
That's it.
And leave it there.
That's it.
The prototype does share some exterior similarities with both the Super Nintendo and the Sony PlayStation, but it has its own unique characteristics as well. It is not only a slot for Super Famicom and Super Nintendo games, but a CD-ROM drive that was meant to play disc-based media and presumably video games as well.
Could you imagine if Sony games worked on that thing too?
The value would probably be a lot more than it is now. But the CD-ROM, the drive that was meant to play disc-based media and presumably video... Okay, though the CD-ROM drive was not currently working when it was found in 2009, it has since been repaired by Benjamin Hackendorn, a YouTube personality known for his console repair videos. It now has the ability to play music CDs like the commercially produced PlayStation, but there is no proprietary software that is known to have been made during the prototype's development, meaning it doesn't have the software capable.
There's just no game to play on it. Yeah.
But you can play some music on it.
Yay.
The prototype's small screen on the top of the console shows the user which music track is currently being played from the CD, allowing the user to listen to their own music and play a cartridge-based game at the same time. It is 1992. That's pretty dope.
That's actually really dope.
Yeah. Where was I?
Can we even do that today?
No. Barely.
Yeah.
Like 6 menus deep. It also has a headphone port, unlike most phones, and an independent volume dial in the front of the console to the left of the two controller ports. Turning the console over to look at the bottom, it has a label with what appears to be a handwritten 2 on it. The meaning of this number is unclear. Looking at the back of the console, it has a standard AV out, S-Video, and Super Nintendo's multi-out ports. However, It also has a mysterious port simply labeled Next, and its purpose is considered to be unknown.
Dun, dun, dun. The plot thickens.
Ah, the plot fucking thickens. One of the most interesting aspects of the prototype is the controller, whose casing sports the design of a Super Nintendo controller with the Super Famicom colors. However, this is no ordinary Super Nintendo controller. Though the design itself is similar to many, the branding is what sets it apart. Instead of Nintendo, it says Sony PlayStation is boldly emblazoned at the front of the controller, though Nintendo is raised in plastic on the back. Both the console and the controller show some signs of aging that were characteristic of the Super Nintendo, that yellowing that happens to all of them. Presumably, these pieces are made from the same type of plastic that the Super Nintendo was made from, acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, or ABS. I don't know how to fucking pronounce any of that shit. I just know it as ABS. This plastic is naturally flammable, so it was often treated with flame retardants, bromine being the most common. As bromine is exposed to different pieces, it's possible that the ratio of ABS to flame retardant was mixed.
Yeah, colors it yellow.
Yeah, more accuracy for some of the pieces. So also included with the lot is what's often referred to as either the boot cart or the debugging cart, which allows the system to activate the CD-ROM port as well as access the console's Super Disk operating system. The casing is in the shape of the Super Famicom cartridge and does have the Nintendo Super Famicom cassette text impressed into the back portion of the shell. A handwritten label adorns the front where the commercially produced label would typically go. It shows a date of either October 6, 1992 or June 10th, 1992. The date is unconfirmed. So there you go. Here we go. At one time, this particular unit was owned by the founder, first president, and first chief executive officer of Sony Computer Entertainment, Olaf Olofsson. I think we talked about this on the podcast, actually. Olaf eventually left Sony to join Advanta Corporation and became its president in 1998. A little over a year later, Olaf left Advanta to join Time Warner, but he left his Nintendo PlayStation prototype behind at Advanta. Roughly around this time, Advanta filed for bankruptcy and began gathering up everything in their corporate office to sell at the auction. As the story goes, the Nintendo PlayStation prototype was grouped together with some of the miscellaneous items that were boxed up in a group lot, the contents of which were veiled. A nice Easter egg for the winning bidder indeed. By far, this is arguably one of the most notorious, mysterious, and controversial artifacts of the video game industry. This prototype has even been around the world and back again, admired and appreciated by video game enthusiasts from all over. Even though this is the closing of this portion of its narrative, it will continue to remain a pivotal piece of video game history, no matter where it ends up. That's wild. What a crazy, cool little fucking piece of video game history, eh?
Yeah.
There's the number 2, like Jeff and I are just looking at here, and the ports at the back. Let's see the ports. The mysterious Next port.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
You know what that looks like?
Almost looks like a...
It looks like the PlayStation AV out.
Yes, it does.
Almost exactly like the PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3.
Dude,
Very similar.
It's wild. It's like Nintendo literally said, okay, fuck this then, and they just took the same system, changed it just a tiny bit, and then released the Super Nintendo.
Well, yeah, it was already going to
Famicom.
play. It was already going to play carts. It's like
Yeah.
the disc was going to be there, and then PlayStation was like, "Nah, bro, we can do this a little better and make money ourselves." And just so they did.
You
Well,
know
that's-
what, man?
that's dope.
Honestly, dude, if I was like a fucking multi-millionaire that is just nerdballing out of the fucking out of this world,
I'm in.
like, even if you spend $100,000 on it, you literally have something that you'd have to be like super in. Like, that's the type of shit that like really rich people, if they're really into that shit, that's the type of stuff they spend their money on. You know what I mean? It's
Like
just
this, a 9.2 A+ rated sealed Game Boy Pokemon Blue box for the current bid of $1,000.
Yeah, for fucking Pokemon Blue. I wish that back in the day I had just bought a bunch of games.
You never
Stuck 'em in a
never
box.
fucking know which
I know.
one is going to be it, right?
I know.
Jeff Gerstmann does that. Jeff Gerstmann buys 2 copies of every game that he buys.
Fucking smart, dude.
And he has a huge collection of sealed, like, but the vast majority of it's just shit. But every now and then, he's got some wildly fucking rare games that are sealed
believe
and
it.
stuck in a Tupperware bin.
That's amazing. And then when he's like 70 years old, he's going to open them shits up.
Yeah.
And some of them motherfuckers are going to be going for $50,000.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are already probably going for $50,000.
Yes. Yes.
It's pretty wild. So there you go. It'll be fun to see. It's 21 more days. It'll be fun to see how much that eventually goes for. And
Yeah, we'll have to check it out again
maybe
in a couple
we'll see,
weeks.
Yeah, remember, go check it out and see what it sells for.